Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 8 articles in this episode for you. Information about stuff going on at the Capitol, topics are in the description of the video for your convenience. So let's get started with them. The first one here is off the gatewaypundit.com, and it says, Susan Rice's speech in New York on Saturday abruptly canceled, bizarre ticketing error cited. Ambassador Susan Rice, who has been under fire for twin controversies that erupted last week stemming from her service in the Obama administration, allegedly spying on Trump officials and weapons, had an appearance in Rochester, New York, scheduled for Saturday, abruptly canceled due to what the organizer bizarrely claims to be a ticketing error. To star at an all-day conference with an evening speech and moderated conversation preceded by her attendance reception for Women Helping Girls, a project of the Greater Rochester area branch of the American Association of University Women, one-to-one female students in grades 6 through 12. The entire conference, including Rice's appearance, was canceled at the last minute late Friday. There is speculation the abrupt cancellation was done to protect Rice at the culmination in Washington. Rice served all 8 years of President Barack Obama's presidency, first as UN ambassador and then as the National Security Advisor. Get this to scroll up a little bit more here. It says WHEC-TV posted the press release from AAU about the cancellation. It says Grab of AAUW was very much looking forward to hosting Ambassador Susan Rice in Rochester to inspire young women who are soon to embark on their chosen careers. Unfortunately, we regret canceled the conference originally scheduled for Saturday, April the 8th, due to a ticketing error, said Dr. Cheryl McKeever in a release. We apologize to the many young people and members of the Rochester community who were planning to attend tomorrow, and we look forward to welcoming Ambassador Rice, who has graciously offered to speak in the coming months. No explanation of the ticketing error was reported in local reports on the cancellation of Rice's speech. Reported earlier this week that Rice's ordered spreadsheets of calls involving then-President candidate Donald Trump and his aides. An update to the report was on Tuesday. It says, in response to a question Tuesday from NBC News reporter Andrea Mitchell, former Obama White House National Security, hang on, in response to a question Tuesday from NBC News reporter Andrea Mitchell, former Obama White House National Security Advisor Susan Rice denied that she prepared spreadsheets of surveilled telephone calls involving Donald Trump and his aides. The Daily Caller News Foundation investigative group, however, reported that Rice ordered the spreadsheets to be produced. In addition, former U.S. Attorney Joe DeGeneva, one of the DCNF sources, said Tuesday in response to Rice that her denial would come as quite a surprise to the government officials who have reviewed dozens of those spreadsheets. Former President Barack Obama's National Security Advisor Susan Rice ordered U.S. spy agencies to produce detailed spreadsheets of legal phone calls involving Donald Trump and his aides when he was running for president, according to former U.S. Attorney Joseph DeGeneva. Produced by the intelligence community at the request of Ms. Rice were detailed spreadsheets of intercepted phone calls with unmasked Trump associates in perfectly legal conversations with individuals, DeGeneva told the Daily Caller News Foundation investigative group on Monday. Tuesday's chemical weapon attack on Syria. Following Tuesday's chemical weapon attack on Syria civilians in Idlib reported the Syrian government of dictator Bashar al-Assad. Rice is bragging in January that the Obama administration rid Syria of chemical weapons was brought up as yet another example of lying to the American people about grave issues of national security. The attack was a protest of a video lie Sunday talk shows being Rice's most infamous assault on the truth. Rice told NPR in a report published January the 16th of 2017, a solution that didn't necessitate the use of force, that actually removed the chemical weapons that were known from Syria in a way that the use of force accomplished. Our aim in contemplating the use of force following the use of chemical weapons in August of 2013 was not to intervene in the civil war, not to become involved in the combat between Assad, but to deal with the threat of chemical weapons by virtue of the diplomacy that we did with Russia and the Security Council. We were able to get the Syrian government to voluntarily and verifiably give up its chemical weapons stockpile. The Kodak Center described Rice's appearance, saying, Ambassador Susan Rice, the special evening begins with an invitation-only VIP reception for the event sponsors and local dignitaries from 5 to 6 p.m. Ambassador Rice will give her keynote remarks at 6 p.m., followed by a moderated conversation and a question with the audience. There may be a $5 charge for parking, Saturday, April the 8th of 2017 at the Kodak Center main stage. The main stage theater is described as a luxury state-of-the-art venue that seats nearly 2,000. Kodak Center main stage theater, seating 1,964 people, 64 bodies, I guess, between the main floor and the balcony. There is handicapped accessible seating on the main theater floor with escalator and elevator access to all floors of the theater. Try this again. The Kodak Center main stage is the largest stage in Rochester space, largest touring productions. 10 dressing rooms, 2 with their own showers, and 2 along with oversized restrooms on each floor and 1,400 parking spots across the street. The Kodak Center is the perfect space for your next event. The theater's luxurious accommodations are described with photos at a link you can click on here in the article, take a look at it. 1,964 comfortable plush seats with plenty of leg room and 20 plus handicapped seats with unobstructed viewing. Dressing rooms with restrooms and showers, spacious and comfortable green room next to the stage. Video of the Kodak Center in this if you want to see that. There was also a separate ticketed event for the conference, a speech by actress Grace Byers of the TV show Empire that sold for $25 for adults and $10 for students. APP 2.0, Articulate Potential Power Conference. The day begins with a conference from 12 to 3 that includes 2 panel discussions, 12:30 to 1:15, Anything Financial for Women by Women, moderated by Cheryl McKeever, and 2 p.m., What Do Women Want? Love and Relationships, followed by a keynote address from actress Grace Byers, best known for her current role on the Fox television hit Empire, Before Judgment. Women and girls can support and uplift each other. Tickets for the Rice speech were $25. If the event were sold out or close to a sellout, Women Helping Girls lost out $100,000 plus the amount of the VIP reception with Rice raised. Event insurance covers last-minute ticketing errors, or the cancellation will cost them dearly for the rental of the luxurious main stage theater, travel and accommodations for Byers and Rice, and the promotional and administrative costs for the event. The next article, libertyheadlines.com, and it says State Department staff nervous over possible elimination of entire divisions. State Department employees are anxious about possible changes coming to the agency, which may include deep cuts and the elimination of entire divisions. More than a dozen people with knowledge of restructuring at the State Department spoke to Politico about and said they're looking to Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's personal plans and a Heritage Foundation report of what to expect. Tillerson is expected to implement major cuts to environmental and cultural programs and may even cut certain divisions entirely, which could affect diplomats working on women issues, the source said. Some State Department employees are trying to figure out ways to shield some of the programs they helped build and run from cuts. One State Department official told Politico that Tillerson may go above and beyond the tweaks typical of an incoming secretary. My sense is that Tillerson wants to go big, the official said. In terms of streamlining, he seems to like straight lines, direct lines, clear hierarchies, number of people reporting to him. So far, Tillerson appeared to be making good on that management style, as he's declined to fill numerous roles under the deputy secretary for management position. Has also left numerous other leadership positions untouched. Politico reports the atmosphere inside the department is nervous. The Atlantic reported in March that many State Department employees are feeling pushed out of the decision-making circle, and so their once busy schedules have trickled to a bare minimum. Makes changes, but I suspect there's going to be a little bit more along the way of changes under this administration than in previous ones, said Brett Schaefer, author of the 2016 report by the Heritage Foundation. The report calls for a huge decrease in the number of special envoys and making accountable to a specific undersecretary, among other recommendations, making U.S. aid to the State Department may require approval from Congress. At this year's Conservation Political Action Conference, White House Chief Strategist Stephen Bannon told the audience that both he and the president are interested in a deconstruction of the administrative state. The article is off of Liberty Headlines. It says some Republicans are now defending parts of Obamacare. The House debate over repealing Obamacare has had an unintended effect. Republicans are now defending the key elements of health law. Many House Republicans are now defending Obamacare's protections for people with pre-existing conditions in the face of an effort by the conservative House Freedom Caucus to repeal them. Some Republican lawmakers are also speaking out in favor of Obamacare's Medicaid and its mandates that insurance plans cover services such as mental health and prescription drugs. Representative Patrick McHenry, Carolina, the GOP's chief deputy whip, said Wednesday that the Freedom Caucus's calls for states to be able to apply for waivers to repeal pre-existing condition protections are a bridge too far for our members. Protections include what is known as community rating, which prevent insurers from charging higher premiums to people with pre-existing conditions, and guaranteeing issue, which prevents insurers from outright denying coverage to them. McHenry spoke in personal terms about the importance of keeping in place those Affordable Care Act provisions contained in the Title I of the law. If you look at the key provisions of Title I, it affects a cross-section of our conference-based experiences and the stories they may know from their constituents and their understanding of policy, McHenry said. My family history is really bad, and so my understanding of the impact of the insurance regs are real, and I believe I'm a conservative, so I look at this impact of regulation, but also the impact of really bad practices in the insurance marketplace prior to the ACA passing, he continued. There are a lot of provisions that I've campaigned on that are part of the law now that I want to preserve. Article review. And the hamster's running as fast as he can go. Okay, Justice Kagan gives Gorsuch a crash course on being a newbie, kitchen duty, door duty, and more. Upon being sworn in Monday to the Supreme Court, Judge Neil Gorsuch role of being the court's most junior member, bumping Justice Elena Kagan up in the pecking order. And poll comes with three unique responsibilities. Gorsuch and Timothy M. Chief Judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit interviewed Kagan in September, and she shared the three basic duties the most junior justice of the Supreme Court assumes, according to the Washington Post. It says the first task being a seat on the cafeteria committee, which plans the meals on the days the justices dine together while hearing oral arguments. I think this is a way to kind of humble people, Kagan said. You think you're kind of hot stuff. You're an important person. You've just been confirmed to the United States Supreme Court. Kagan then explained just how tedious it can be. You're going to monthly cafeteria committee meetings where literally the agenda is what happened to the good recipe for chocolate chip cookies, she said. The second task assigned to the junior justice on a minority rules is to take notes when the justices meet in private conference to decide which cases they will take a vote on. A meeting where the justices speak in order of longevity, meaning the junior member goes last. Task is to open the door at these meetings, which Kagan described as the most important junior justice responsibility. Literally, if I'm like in the middle of a sentence, let's say it's my turn to speak or something, and there's a knock on the door, everybody will just stare at me, waiting for me to open the door, she said. Who knew the Supreme Court could be such a fun place? I tell you what, if I was him, I'd have some fun with this stuff because they want me to plan the meals for when we're all going to dine together because we're hearing oral arguments. Well, guess what? We're having bologna sandwiches or maybe some grilled cheese. Let's just get down to basics here. Think I'm going to plan you some fancy meal? If you want something fancy, you better be packing your lunch. And open the door, my foot. Whoever's closest to it can open the door. Just foolishness. Just because the guy's new, you think that you're going to get him in there and then bully him around. Loud. What a bunch of who. Is that all the Supreme Court has to do is sit around and think up stuff like that? We're going to get the new guy in here and haze him. They wouldn't want me to be the new guy. The next one we have here is off of Liberty Headlines. It says, report, keep it in the ground agenda could have cost the nation millions of jobs. For the U.S. economy would be vastly different today if the environmental activists who spent record sums trying to influence the outcome of the 2016 election had their way, according to a new report. In the ground, restrictions on developing oil, natural gas, and coal would cost 5.9 million jobs by 2040 and increase household energy expenditures by more than $4,500 a year, said the report, conducted by the economics firm On Location Incorporated and commissioned by the American Petroleum Institute, called the API. Retail electricity rates would climb by more than 56% under policies pushed by groups like 350.org, the Sierra Club, and other anti-fossil fuel organizations, the report found. During last year's election, environmental groups spent more than $100 million trying to win voter support for anti-fossil fuel policies and elect a president who would build on environmental programs of the Obama administration. Try that again. The effort failed, with Republicans winning the presidential election and keeping their majorities in Congress. But activist groups have vowed to keep fighting, and some lawmakers have even reintroduced Keep It in the Ground Act as a 2015 bill that would halt new oil and gas drilling and coal mining on federal land. Call with Reporters Today, API warned this effort is both misguided and potentially costly. Of American voters support increased U.S. oil and natural gas production. A vocal minority are working to obstruct energy and development and infrastructure projects, energy options under a false belief that oil and natural gas production and use are incompatible with environmental progress, API President and CEO Jack Gerald said. of constrained energy choices with less energy certainty and reliability, and with less assurance on affordable power. That produced today's report has provided technical support to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, for more than 20 years. Using the same economic modeling tools as EIA, the firm estimated the economic impacts of the Keep It in the Ground agenda. It explores what would happen if we halted new oil and natural gas leases, banned hydraulic fracturing, prohibited new or expanded coal mines, and stopped permitting energy infrastructure, including pipelines and import and export facilities. This is what Keep It in the Ground means. Only twice in the past 70 years has the U.S. unemployment rate exceeded 8.2%, but Keep It in the Ground would take us there again, plunging the economy into persistent recession-level unemployment, he said. Well, I've got news for you. We're already there, because these figures that they're giving you are phony, false, fake, manipulated. The figures that they're giving you on unemployment include people that only have part-time jobs, 3 part-time jobs, just trying to make ends meet. So the unemployment rate is somewhere around 23%. If you want to talk about people that actually have a full-time job versus the rest of us. The next article is off of BizPac Review. Uncovers Obama's unpublished racist America manuscripts that he says could have blown his presidency. Barack Obama called America a racist society and said anti-black racism is entrenched, or is so entrenched that it infects both blacks and whites. That's what Pulitzer Prize-winning author David Garrow claims in his biography, Rising Star: The Making of Barack Obama. And his friend Robert Fisher wrote hundreds of pages for a book when they were in law school. The book was never published, but reportedly captured Obama's thoughts on how racist American society is. Garrow told Gibson show, Audio Below, discussion of Obama's book starts 46 minutes in, that Obama may not have been elected president if his condemnation of racist America had been made public before his election. Garrow, who conducted more than 1,000 interviews for his biography, claimed Obama wrote the following in his unpublished book as a law school student. It says, racism against African American continues to exist throughout American society, and admittedly, precisely because America is a racist society, we cannot realistically expect white America to make special concessions toward blacks over the long haul. The greatest testimony to the force of racist ideology in American culture is that it infects not only the minds of whites, but the minds of blacks as well. Garrow, who won the 1987 Pulitzer Prize for his biography of Martin Luther King Jr., said he believes the public will be surprised at Obama's militant views on anti-black racism. His friend in the early 1990s, when they were in law school, wrote several hundreds of pages of a proposed book that was never published, Garrow said. Particularly the 140 pages or so of that manuscript that are about race gives significant insight to Barack's thinking when he was leaving law school and about to enter into public life in Illinois. Garrow said Obama's views might have derailed his presidential election if they had been made public. Opposition researchers discovered the book manuscript. There are multiple things that could have been used to Guinier him, Garrow said. Annie Guinier, a nominee for Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights in 1993, nominated Guinier, but later withdrew his nomination after inflammatory racial statements she made surfaced. Barack Obama made history as the first African-American president of the United States. While Obama is hailed as an icon and a champion of Black America, he's half white and was raised by his white mom, Ann Dunham, grandparents after his mom and Kenyan dad, Barack Obama Sr., divorced in 1964 when Barack was 3 years old. When Obama was elected president in 2008, he won a record of young white voters in racist America. Before that, no Democratic president nominee had won more than 45% of young whites for the 3 decades. The next article I have is off of BizPac Review. It says, well, there we go. It says, victim Hillary is finally free to speak her mind, and when she unloads, conservatives show no mercy. Hillary Clinton has a lot of time on her hands since the election, and the former presidential candidate used some of it to tell the New York Times that Americans biased against women played part in why she didn't win. In an interview with the Times called Hillary Clinton Free to Speak Her Mind, author Nicholas Kristof said Clinton can speak more bluntly since the race is over. Translation, she had to be a phony during the election, but now she has nothing to lose. Times put out a tweet saying, opinion, as a person I'm okay, as an American I'm pretty worried, said Hillary Clinton. And somebody tweeted back, it says, New York Times, she may be free to speak her mind, but really who wants to even listen? Hillary's free to speak her mind, but she prefers to be paid 250 G's before she does. Certainly, misogyny played a role in her defeat to President Donald Trump, she said, to be admitted. She said that the thought process of some of the people who voted for President Trump was, I don't agree with him. I'm not sure I really approve of him, but he looks like somebody who'd been president before. She said that many Americans had problems going into the election, and then you layer on the first woman president over that. And I think some people, women included, had real problems. There's no way in her mind that it might have been her long history of lies, deceit, and bad decisions. She also offered advice to the women who defeat. Toughen up your skin, she said, citing nastiness she believes is pointed at be ready. It's not a new phenomenon, but it feels new and painful every time it happens to you. Somebody tweeted out the phrase Clinton is free to speak her mind is trending. Has she ever not been free to do that? Does she think she lives in Saudi Arabia? Another one says free to speak her mind is the exact concept that won Trump the election. But it wasn't misogyny. Clinton also blamed Russia, WikiLeaks, and the FBI Director James Comey reopening an investigation into her private email server. She mentioned her high approval rating when she left her position as Secretary of State, but complained that by the time they finished with me, I was Typhoid Mary. And on social media, free to speak her mind was trending as if somehow before the election she wasn't. Says now she's out of her shell, freed by defeat, and far more willing to speak bluntly. Certainly, misogyny played a role, she says, in her loss. Has to be admitted. One tweets out, at last, Hillary is free to speak her mind about how terribly unfair she's been treated in life. Yeah, it's been rough for her. Another one says, and we are free to watch her be sore loser for the foreseeable future. This is so satisfying to watch. Another one says, Hillary Clinton has been free to speak her mind all her life. Unlike all women, she has managed a press throughout it. Good point, according to Broderick, who's accused former President Bill Clinton of sexual assault. Mrs. Clinton did a remarkable job in silencing her. Another one says, I didn't campaign in Michigan, Wisconsin, Western Pennsylvania, but I lost because of misogyny. Says, idiot Hillary, you were rejected by the people. Free to speak her mind. Another one says, Hillary Clinton has always been free to speak her mind and turned some formerly blue states red by doing so in 2016. A whole bunch of those. So there you have that. The next one we have, and the final one in this episode, is off of Liberty Writers. It says, Trump in danger. The media doesn't want you to know about this Trump. And I did see this on mainstream media a while ago. I was kind of surprised to see that, but the FBI is offering $10,000 reward for capturing the suspect of major gun theft at the Armageddon gun store. Tuesday, Joseph Jabowiecki is wanted in connection with theft, and more sickening thing is that he wrote a manifesto to Trump and is now threatening public officials and schools, allegedly sending a note to Donald Trump. And there's video of that in here. They showed it on the news a while ago. That if you want. It says police are saying that he has a tactical vest and is targeting churches. And the article goes on. It says, number one, he has high-end firearms. Police showed up to Armageddon gun store around 8:40 p.m. on Tuesday. When he arrived, police found the door smashed in. Firearms were missing from the store. One of them was an automatic weapon. Authorities did not say how much ammunition was stolen from the store. Police then found a burned-out car that was registered to Jabowiecki. Wrote a 161-page manifesto to Trump that expressed an interest in attacking government officials and hitting schools. Schools in the area have been canceled or have canceled classes because of the situation. Number two, there is a manhunt going on currently. According to Chicago Tribune, manhunt is currently underway on Friday for Jabowiecki. More than 150 law enforcement officers were searching for 32-year-old Joseph Jabowiecki, said Rock County Sheriff Robert Spoden of the Chicago Tribune report. It says some sources are saying that SWAT Friday to a home not far from where Jabowiecki there is currently no one in custody. And there is a full video here of him. He wrote an anti-Trump manifesto. The liberal media is brainwashing these idiots. The FBI currently has the manifesto and are trying to use it to find some leads. When you look at the document that he wrote, it's really long laundry list of injustices he believes that the government and society and the upper class have put forth onto the rest of the citizens, Rocky County Sheriff Robert Spoden said. Jabowiecki is 5'10" with green eyes and brown hair. So there you have that. Kind of scary fellow to be on the loose. Then that's all I have for you in this episode. If you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. Audio is improved any. I've done everything I can do to get it to improve here. So if you think the audio is a little bit better, let me know that too. Don't be afraid to correspond with me, but don't send me nasty grams either. That's not appreciated. I like constructive criticism. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that. Share this on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. And I'll see you in the next episode.